Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're plunging into the sequel of epic adventure, The Demon Strikes Back, a fantasy action film packed with wild magic and comedy. Be warned, major spoilers are coming right up. Somewhere in a crowded Indian city, people are employing the strangest possible methods to rouse a colossal monk. It turns out this giant is Tang, and he wakes up utterly stunned to find everyone around him has shrunk to miniature size. One of the tiny figures clambers onto the monk's nose and reveals himself to be Tang's own master, presenting his student with a trophy for finally achieving his spiritual goal. The crowd produces a giant halo, which Tang immediately accepts and places behind his back, causing the magical artifact to illuminate with a dramatic, blinding brightness. Tang begins to swell with self-importance, but the halo quickly malfunctions, triggering a series of explosions that eventually blacken his face. It turns out that this was all just a delusion, and the man snaps awake from the sound of nearby thunder. In reality, Tang is performing for a pathetic roadside circus, filled with utterly bizarre characters, desperate to scrounge up any spare change. After finally corralling his first potential customers, Tang introduces his first disciple, Zhu, but the woman recoils in terror from the strange man, who immediately proposes marriage to the lovely ladies. Tang then attempts to show them his second disciple, Wujing, but this man is even more unsettling, resembling a bald Frankenstein's monster, managing to mentally scar an infant for life. The women become furious and demand compensation for emotional damages, as the audience quickly forms an angry mob, loudly shaming the monk for his dreadful show. Tang pleads that his final performance will compensate for everything and grandly unveils the one and only Monkey King, Wukong. But the people only stare in confusion as the man flops down from a tree and lies motionless on the ground like a dead frog. Tang begins viciously coughing while begging the crowd for one last chance, making the audience scatter away from him as if dodging a plague. A woman with an obvious beard takes pity on the monk and generously produces her preserved buns as a donation, but Tang hesitates to accept her offering, unsure how long they've been in her possession. Finally fed up with the human bickering, Wukong leaps to his feet and violently charges toward the audience, becoming a destructive bullet that blasts through the buildings, creating tremendous chaos and conjuring a massive tornado. Tang realizes the situation is hopeless and immediately flees before the angry people make him pay for all the destruction. After successfully escaping the circus debacle, Tang punishes the monkey demon by relentlessly whipping him, causing Wukong to scream out in agony from the strikes, while the other brothers look on in fear. It is revealed that the monk had previously defeated the monkey by using the devastating Buddhist palm technique, crushing him beneath giant rocks and inflicting him with recurring nightmares ever since. The situation is made even more agonizing when Tang aggressively cuddles Wukong every night, pretending the demon is the woman he loves, making the monkey's life thoroughly miserable. The next morning, Tang awakes and decides to fetch water for his disciples, venturing deep into the woods until he discovers a large house in the forest. He knocks on the door, hoping to beg for some food, and surprisingly, a beautiful woman appears to greet him, offering him a generous invitation to dine inside. Tang instantly accepts the offer, especially after multiple women appear, attempting to seduce the man with their alluring legs. Upon entering the mansion, Zhu is immediately mesmerized by the host's beauty, while Tang thanks the owner for providing such a delicious meal. However, the woman suggests the men should stay longer, telling the monk that she can look after them in many other ways too. What she doesn't know is that Wukong has already seen through her magical deception, realizing that all the pretty girls are actually spider demons waiting for the perfect moment to consume his master. The Monkey King approaches the woman and demands that she reveal her true form, but Tang becomes furious at this discourtesy and shoves all his disciples outside, condemning them for their rudeness towards people who had treated them so kindly. However, the girls immediately drop their disguises and transform into their true forms, surrounding the monk with no escape, forcing him to desperately beg Wukong to come back and save him. Fortunately, the monkey grabs onto the monk and pulls him away just as the spiders were about to devour him, while Wujing summons his weapon and takes on one of the enemies by himself. The spider launches quickly toward the man and pins him onto the wall, spitting venom into his mouth and poisoning him in the process, but Wujing manages to kill the enemy in the nick of time, barely escaping death. Meanwhile, the other monsters try to capture the monk by covering him in sticky webs, but Wukong grabs his master and tears away the netting, throwing the spiders into the air as the enemies crash down from the ceiling. The monkey demon manages to safely catch Tang from the fall and quickly notices that they are surrounded by thousands of tiny spiders descending from the sky and scattering across the ground. Suddenly, the entire floor begins to collapse, and everyone falls into the building's basement, eventually landing in what appears to be a giant spider's nest. Tang investigates the area further and immediately stumbles upon a massive creature composed of thousands of tiny insects, revealing itself to be the final form of the spider demon. Wukong charges in swiftly and punches through the enemy, grabbing onto the creature's head and defeating the demon in mere seconds. Tang tells the monkey not to kill the creature, as he wants to convert the monster into something good, but Wukong angrily punches off the enemy's head and savagely smashes the spider repeatedly like the Hulk, eventually reducing the demon to nothing but dust. Tang becomes enraged at his disciple for taking lives so carelessly, but the monkey demon feels no guilt whatsoever for his actions. They continue on their journey away from the deadly forest, with Zhu pulling his brother Wujing, who has reverted back to his monstrous demon form after being poisoned by the spiders. The group eventually arrives in a desert as they approach a nearby city filled with people, where the decorations make it look like a terrifying, chaotic version of Disneyland. Tang is astonished by the city's unique culture while the people stare at his group in shock, having never seen a sea creature that resembles Garfield so closely. They are quickly intercepted by a group of people carrying flags, and the city's minister, Gong, walks out in white smoke to formally welcome the guests. They head toward the king's palace and upon entering, are met by a crowd of people wildly dancing, attempting to entertain their leader, who is behaving like a spoiled, oversized baby. The king demands that Tang demonstrate a magical performance for entertainment, but the monk possesses no showmanship skills and quickly refuses. This infuriates the king, who orders Tang to be executed, giving the monk no choice but to agree to the performance. They retreat backstage, and Wukong suggests using the obedience talisman to control the monk's movements while he performs. This plan greatly worries Tang, as it could either go incredibly well, earning him praise, or turn him into a complete parody of Magic Mike, causing all the women to faint from embarrassment. The monkey demon completely ignores the monk's protests and forcefully sticks the talisman onto his back before shoving him out, sending Tang dramatically flying onto the stage. The people are initially amazed by the man's superhuman agility as he jumps around the room, but the audience quickly falls silent when Tang's worst fear is confirmed. Wukong dances ridiculously, forcing his master to follow every single humiliating move, leaving their audience truly speechless. The show spirals out of control when the monkey demon slaps Zhu on the head, causing the monk to strike the king right across the face as well. The king begins weeping uncontrollably in front of all his female servants, while Tang profusely apologizes for the accident. However, Wukong charges toward the king with blinding speed and begins hitting the man repeatedly across the face, causing his majesty to spit fire from his mouth and knock the monkey across the room. Wukong defends against the flames and pushes the attack away, revealing that the king is actually the red demon, known as Nezha, who is likely the true source of all the chaos in the kingdom. The demon throws punches at the monkey like elastic bands, but Wukong easily deflects the attacks and grabs the enemy, striking Nezha repeatedly on the head. The red demon becomes enraged, conjuring up his magical weapons and blowing the people away with his immense aura, sending the fish demon tumbling across the yard. Nezha throws rotating blades at Wukong, forcing him toward the walls and attempting to shred the monkey into pieces. Wukong is knocked out of the palace, but quickly deflects the attack by kicking the wheels away toward the enemy. Nezha flies into the sky while carrying his gigantic blades and begins charging tremendous amounts of energy from his belly, which launches toward Wukong as a fiery tornado. Numerous demons jump out from the fire and charge at the monkey, as Wukong desperately tries to block the attack by creating a massive shield, which the enemies repeatedly crash into. However, the monkey demon quickly loses the power struggle and is knocked back into the palace, crashing heavily onto the ground. Nezha mocks the opponent, calling him a stinking monkey, causing Wukong to roar in fury as he pulls out the flags behind his back, magically lifting the entire palace into the air. The demon walks out from the building alongside his magical staff and charges toward the enemy with blinding speed, while Nezha throws even more fire toward Wukong. The monkey successfully repels the attack by spinning his flags and blowing the enemies away, eventually managing to completely overpower the red demon. Wukong charges up flames in his eyes and launches them at the enemy, knocking Nezha away with tremendous power and sending him crashing toward the ground. Wujing takes the chance and freezes the enemy by using his icy breath, sending the red demon toward the palace and landing right beneath the Monkey King. Tang rushes in to capture the demon using his sealing technique, transforming Nezha into a doll and presenting it to the minister, hoping she can convert the evil entity into something good in the future. They are also able to locate the real king inside the basement of the building and finally release the man back into his kingdom. To thank the monk for saving his life, the king offers Tang any one of his concubines as a gift. However, upon closer examination, the man notices the women's truly unique features and realizes why the king was so generous. Luckily, they soon spot a beautiful girl among the nightmarish crowd, and the king demands that she dances for the heroes in celebration. The girl begins moving her body like a graceful swan as all the other women watch in jealousy, and she quickly captures the monk's attention. Tang begins to recall the memory of another woman he loved deeply before this journey, who had also danced for him in the same manner under the moonlight. The man falls in love almost instantly after watching the girl and decides to bring her along on his journey toward India. Tang discovers the woman's name is Bai, and the two quickly become inseparable as they travel, completely ignoring everyone else as they are consumed by new love. But Wukong quickly grows suspicious of the girl, believing that she might actually be a demon in disguise attempting to devour his master. The monkey tries to use the magical mirror on the woman to see her true form, but is only able to see the reflection of a beautiful girl. In a moment of frustration, Wukong pulls out a knife and cuts Bai on the wrist, smearing the blood onto the mirror to verify his theory, but only ends up proving the exact opposite. The monkey's reckless actions only push the monk closer to the girl, but Wukong demands that they go see the woman's family, reasoning that demons cannot have human parents. To everyone's surprise, they arrive inside the woman's village, which is completely filled with people, and Wukong is further confused by how this is possible. Instead of admitting he was wrong, Wukong begins savagely attacking everyone inside the building, throwing Bai's family against the walls and claiming that they are nothing but illusions. The monkey then turns his attention toward the woman while Tang rushes in to stop his disciple, blaming the demon for trying to kill every single woman that he loves. It is revealed that the woman from Tang's memory was, in fact, killed by Wukong as she attempted to protect the monk, creating a deep, unresolved conflict between the two. The monkey turns his back on his master and rushes out of the building, transforming into his full demon form and killing everyone in sight, determined to prove that they are all just illusions. Tang quickly follows the monkey to stop the madness, but only manages to witness the terrible carnage caused by the demon's rampage. Wukong laughs at how delusional the monk is and walks toward the man, intending to kill Bai so that Tang can finally face the truth, but the monk refuses to let the monkey murder any more innocent people. He tries to fight the demon using his Buddha palm technique, but Wukong easily overpowers him and begins hitting the man with his weapon. Seeing that Tang is about to be killed, the woman begs the monkey to let the man go, finally admitting that she is indeed a demon, just as he suspected, and that the entire town was created by her magic. However, her confession does not temper Wukong's anger, and he transforms into the massive, rocky version of King Kong, towering over all the buildings. The monkey grabs onto the monk and violently devours him alive, while Bai tries desperately to save her lover. The giant demon roars furiously and leaps toward the nearby mountain, eventually climbing to the top and accidentally dropping the woman. Suddenly, a loud voice echoes from the distance. It's the Minister Gong, who levitates toward the mountaintop alongside the red demon, Nezha. It turns out that Gong was actually the true mastermind behind the kingdom's chaos, and she planned to use Bai to turn Wukong against the monk, allowing her to finally take revenge on the people for disrupting her rule. What she doesn't realize is that Wukong never actually ate his master, and the monk is completely unharmed. They had known that Bai was a demon from the very beginning, and only pretended to play along so they could find the real culprit causing the chaos in the city. Realizing her plan has failed, the minister orders the red demon to attack the group immediately, but Wujing uses his magic to freeze the enemy, which allows Wukong to destroy the small monster by smashing him into pieces as he roars furiously at the enemy. Gong uses all her powers and unleashes a shockwave toward the team, knocking away everyone except for Wukong, who manages to resist her immense energy while protecting his master using his tail. The monkey demon viciously launches at the enemy and smashes into the mountain, but Gong is able to evade the attack and escapes onto her flying cloud. Wukong chases quickly after the woman, smashing through a mountain that was thrown his way, but only to see that the demon has summoned a giant Buddha alongside a raging tsunami. The monkey demon pulls out his magical staff and prepares to push back the waves, while the woman forces all the water toward Wukong by controlling the statue's giant palms. Surprisingly, the monkey manages to overpower the enemy and knock back the attack, giving him a chance to jump onto his flying nimbus as he tries to approach the Buddha. However, the enemy is deceptively quick, managing to hit the monkey demon as it unleashes a barrage of palm strikes at Wukong, forcing him to desperately run from the attacks. Very soon, more statues rise from the ocean, cornering the monkey between the enemies, each possessing a different elemental halo. They begin to attack Wukong together from all sides, trapping the stone monkey inside the elemental waves as he struggles in agony from the massive energies. Just as the enemy is about to deliver the final blow, a colossal arm shoots out from the water and grabs onto the statues, releasing Wukong in the process and completely destroying the false Buddhas. It turns out that Tang has finally decided to use the Buddha palm on the enemy, utterly defeating the woman as she falls into the monkey's waiting hand. A massive aura materializes in front of the team, as the real Buddha appears to congratulate the group for capturing one of his disciples, who turns out to be a golden phoenix that had escaped from the heavens to cause chaos on humanity. They return back to the mountains and see that Bai has been severely wounded from the fight with the demons. Tang tries to comfort the woman by helping her transcend into the next life, but the demon only wants to know if the monk has ever truly loved her. Tang reveals that he can no longer love anyone else, as there will only be one woman in his heart, and she died a long time ago. Hearing the man's final response, the girl dies with tears in her eyes, as she vanishes into the other world and her body turns to dust. Sometime later, the team resumes their journey toward India so that they can finally retrieve the scriptures, while Tang continues to see his true love in his vision, who will always be faithfully by his side. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you enjoyed it, please don't hesitate to leave a like and a comment. And support us in reaching our first 1,000 subscribers. Every single subscriber from you means the world to this channel. And see you again in the next video.